Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting of the West Perth Property Standards Committee to order at 6:01 p.m. First order of business today is a housekeeping item, and we need to do oaths for the committee. If the committee can repeat after me, and I have provided you a copy as well. So all together, please. I state your name. Do solemnly affirm that I will, to the best of my judgment and ability, without fear, favor, or partiality, honestly decide the appeals to the Property Standards Committee made under the Building Code Act 1992 and Bylaw 13-2013 of the Corporation of the Municipality of West Perth, that may be brought before me for decision as a member of such committee. And do you all swear the affirmation to be true, so help you God? Thank you very much. Next order of business then today will be the nomination of a chair. Yes.
I nominate Nicholas Vink.
Mr. Vink, do you accept the nomination?
Sorry.
Yes, I do.
Okay. All those in favor? Okay, carried. I will hand the meeting over to you.
Could I have a couple people to confirm the agenda, please? Alvin and Anna Marie. All those in favor? That's carried. A disclosure of pecuniary interest, if you have one now or at any time during the meeting, would be just fine. Could I have a couple people to approve the minutes of the February 19th, 2015 minutes? Alvin and Anna Marie. All those in favor? That's carried. All right, so we'll move into the hearing of appeal now. The Municipality of West Perth Property Standards Appeal Committee has full delegation of the authority of the Building Code Act and the Municipal Act to hear appeals for property owners and occupants who have been served with a property standards order to which they have taken issue with such order. So this committee shall hear evidence presented by the property standards officer, the owner of the property, as well as any witnesses having evidence related to the case, and review each appeal on an individual basis. These decisions will not be precedent setting, and then we may confirm, modify, rescind, or extend the time for complying with the order. I'd like to call on the property standards officer at this time to present their findings.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jim Watson. I'm the bylaw here in West Perth under a tenant security group. The issue in hand basically started back in March. March 25th, I think, was the first date we were at the property. It was Officer Pavey and Pimentel. Took some pictures initially of the property, and that we noticed that there was, a lot of lawnmowers and such items that were on the property. There was, basically kind of an issue to try and get the property up to the current bylaw. From there, we did give, the property owner, Gwyneth McCool, time to, get the property up as it was winter time. The ground was still kind of wet, right? And we don't want to rut up the property. So some time was given. From that time forth, more complaints went into the municipality. We did, review it back in April. Nothing, there's no changes done to the property. And then Wednesday, May the 11th, as when I contacted Gwyneth McCool and just basically told her that, we are getting way more complaints coming in. And then we noticed nothing had been done to the property, kind of changes. Nothing been removed, taken out, corrected. That continued on. Gonna give some more time. Monday, May 30th was the next date that I called Mrs. McCool and informed her that a letter would be submitted under the property standards if the yard, wasn't up to code. And we also provided with 3 different quotes from companies that would take the items out for scrap steel, whatnot, provided, how much money that would be per ton. And, so they had lots of information regarding options of how to get rid of these such items. From there, I tried to contact Ms. McCool on Monday, June 27th, but there was no answer and I didn't leave a voicemail. So as the time progressed, stopping into the property, checking in, there was no attempt to remove such items. Items actually started to increase. There was more lawnmowers getting put on the property, and there was actually a tent that was put up at the far end of the property with more items being placed inside. So on July 26th, Officer Pavey and I attended the McCool property and issued the property standards warning letter, and said we need to get this property in compliance. Then on Friday, July 22nd, I called Mrs. McCool once again and informed her of the August 1st date, because that's when the letter was basically saying your compliance to August 1st. And she said, we're working on it. We're trying to get some stuff cleaned up. I said, okay, we're going to kind of move on from there. Then on Monday, August 8th, I did a quick inspection and I noticed there was nothing changed to the property. And then from there, Wednesday, August the 10th, that's when Officer Pavey and I served the property standards order to Gwyneth McCool.
Thank you. I'll ask the appellant, Mr. McCool, if you have any questions for the officer about the information provided. Okay, thank you. I'll also call on any other additional witnesses who wish to speak or anyone else that wants to provide comment.
Chair, I did receive a written letter. I'll read to the committee and for those in attendance.
Thank you.
Dear sirs, this letter is to inform you and West Perth councillors that my wife Fran and myself are in favor of any action that the Property Standards Committee has to implement to force the owner of Plan 386, Part Lot 14, 167 Roland Street, Mitchell Ward, West Perth, to remove the items that have been accumulating over the years. Signed, Francis and W. Blythe Lannon. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Again, I'll ask the appellant, Mr. McCool, if you have any questions for Dan. Not that he would answer them, I guess, from the letter, but do you have any questions about the comments? Okay.
Create this, then they're giving me to get rid of it, and they're telling me to throw it all in the dumpster. Well, that's like backing your stuff up to a dumpster up to your door and throwing everything you own in the dumpster. That doesn't cut it. Like, I've got a lot of money invested there. So they told me that I should put up a fence. I told them I didn't want a fence. That was back in March or April. And since then, okay, I've decided to put up a fence. I applied for a permit. My permit's being held until the property's cleaned. Well, what do I need a fence for if the property's all cleared off, right? Nobody can see in there whether it's clean or not, right? But I plan on cleaning it all up. It's just taking me time, and I don't have any other place to put the stuff. So that's where it is right at the moment. The place I had it at, they sold the farm, so I had to get everything off there. I lost well over $15,000 worth of stuff over that deal. Now I'm expected to throw everything in the dumpster and just be happy about it. I can't do that. So I'm working on cleaning it up, and I have taken some stuff to the scrap yard, but the majority of it's to be fixed and sold. And I've tried getting it in to get stuff sold, but it's just not working out that well for me. But it will happen. I've already bought a piece of fence, 10 sections of fence also, but I can't put it up. And I've been told that they wanted to rearrange my design on the fence to put a 3-foot gate in. You can't get a trailer through a 3-foot gate. And all the trailers that are on the property right now, I've already registered them, plated them, and I'm out of money now, so I can only do what I can. I can only do what I can do as the money comes in, right? So it's not that I haven't complied. I've tried. That's the best I can come up with.
All right, thank you. We appreciate that. I'll maybe give the property standards officer a question, any time to ask some questions if you do have any for the appellant. Nope. Okay. It is what it is. Okay. And then maybe from our committee, Anna Marie or Chuck, Alvin, do you have any questions for the appellant? Go ahead, Chuck.
If there was an extension to the order, what time span would you think you would need to have that cleaned up?
I'm not sure how long it's going to take. It's just a matter of money. I only get $421 a month, so I used all that putting plates on my trailers so far. What I'd like to do is put a fence up and just to give me that. To give me. I've already went out and bought the fence, but it has to be feasible for me to put it up. Like I need to have a gate that's 10 feet, not 3 feet, so I can get in and out of the backyard. And I keep the grass clean or cut, and I keep the yard cleaned up as best I can. So there's no rubbish laying around. There's no decaying branches and trees or nothing. There's no bugs. There's no rodents. It's just there's some machinery. That's all. My trailers.
Thank you. Do you have any other questions? No. Okay. Anna Marie, do you have any questions?
How do you envision selling your things?
Well, some of them are going to go up to the annual auction at Jacobs, and the rest will go on Marketplace.
Is that one coming up? The one in Jacobs? Is there a fall one coming up?
Yeah, there's one coming up. So I think it's September 28th.
Mm-hmm.
I've already talked to them about it. And I also have a 53-foot trike trailer that's full of machinery too. So, but it's not on the property. I've got to get rid of it. So I got quite a bit of stuff on the go.
Any other questions, Anna Marie?
How many pieces have you been able to sell since the spring?
3. COVID kind of knocked the wind out of it. I sold 4 the year before we had COVID. I sold 4 tractors. I got $350 a piece for them or more, and that's just like one tractor. If I throw them all in a dumpster, I get $400 for them. So you can see the difference between me wanting to throw them in the dumpster and not.
The steel price is pretty good, though, is it not?
The steel price?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's not a bad price if you're scrapping cars or big machinery, but I don't have any big machinery. It'll take, in order to get a ton, it'd probably take, I'd probably have 2 tons on the property
Mm-hmm.
altogether. And I've got way more than that invested. So,
Thank you.
That anybody else have any other questions? That will conclude the testimony and the questions. The committee will now deliberate in open session, and if we have any more questions, we'll take them as well too. So we have a few options. As I said before, we can confirm the order, or approve an extension, or add any amendments, or rescind the order. So I have some resolutions in front of me. If you guys want to give me an idea of where you guys were leaning towards, and then I could read out the resolution and we could maybe discuss that. So confirm the order, approve an extension, or an amendment to the order, or rescind the order. You guys? Yeah, sure.
What would it take for him to be allowed to build a fence until spring that would enclose the yard and with a 10-foot gate?
Could I maybe call on, if you don't, our chief building official? Would you be able to answer that for us, please, Bob? Thank you.
With regard to the fence, Mr. McCool made an application. We reviewed the bylaw and the fencing bylaw and zoning. As Mr. McCool stated, he was limited to a 3-foot gate or a walk-in gate on the exterior side yard. Within the zoning bylaw, you're only allowed one principal access for your vehicles into the property. So there is a driveway established on off of Wellington on the side street, which the property fronts on. So he wouldn't be allowed 2 accesses. So that's the reason why the gate was limited to the driveway access. As we had identified with Mr. McCool on the application, we weren't going to issue a fence permit until the yard was cleaned up. There is a daylight triangle that is on the exterior corner. We don't have I don't believe we have a survey on file. I may be corrected on that.
Does that answer your question, Elvin? Or do you want to ask a follow-up?
I guess I understood what you said, but I guess that doesn't answer my question as to what would it take for him to be allowed to put a fence up. Is there any accommodation that could be made for him to be allowed to enclose the yard and the fence until spring? And I don't know the property precisely. I know where it is. And I could direct this to you, Mr. McCool. Is it possible to put a larger gate that will give you access into the yard from your driveway instead of along Wellington Street?
that's possible also. I originally thought that's what I'd do, but I figured I'd maybe better close it all in. So, but I can put a 10-foot gate right at the end of the fence beside the driveway, and I could just drive in the driveway and in through the gate.
Would that be allowed, Bob?
I think in support of the bylaw enforcement officers, that would be a consideration if the committee chose to amend the order. I would support a decision from the committee that would satisfy the property standards officers and Mr. Poole's wishes.
Do you have any other questions? Any other ideas which way you would like the resolution to go?
I guess I would be supportive to, what was one of the choices? Amending the,
Mm-hmm.
but I guess I would also like to see McCool's part, if there is a sale coming up at Jacobs, perhaps to offer some of his things there to see if they sell. That would show good faith on his part that he's willing to part with his things. I'm also supportive of the fence, the way it's just been discussed. But I think there has to be give and take.
So we could extend, with Anna Marie's ideas, we could extend the order to the end of September, and that would cover off the Jacobs auction if that was happening in September. Or we could amend the order to support the bylaw enforcement officer and allow the fence sooner to, but at the same time have the property in the process of being cleaned up. Is that what I understood, Bob? Yeah. Okay. Yes, thank you.
I guess my thoughts on the fence, and not having been on the property myself, I don't know the exact conditions. I agree that it should be a safe environment in there, even if there is a fence around it. If there was a fence that concealed it from the neighbors until say middle of April, that gives you 2 Jacobs sales, and that would have to be cleaned up by then.
So we would need to describe what we would what needs to be done and by when, if we were going to amend the order. And so you're saying we would allow a fence, and when, how long would it be before the fence would need to go up, would you say, if we would allow that amendment to the order?
I would say the fence would have to go up immediately.
Okay.
Not in a day necessarily, but within a week, or at least, or
okay,
not any more than a week. And I would think that Mr. McCool would have to be open to having someone come on the property after Jacob's auction and make sure there had been improvement. And if there had not been any improvement at that time, then maybe that would nullify the extension.
Is that something you want me to write up here? Would you be amenable to such a thing, a fence up in the next week, along with the property cleaning up by the end of September, by some of it by the end of September at Jacob's auction?
I don't have a problem with that part of it. The fence might take a little more than a week to put up, though. This would be me doing it myself. So, but then need to make an amendments on concrete the post in, because I don't want to concrete the post in if I'm taking it back down again in the spring.
Okay. I'll maybe give an thank you. I'll maybe give an opportunity to the clerk to chime in.
I would just advise that the Jacobs auction date is October 26th, unless there's other information, but that is the correct date.
Okay.
And then I would also suggest there be some discussion on the type or visibility of the fence, because if you're looking to erect a fence to quote unquote hide and a chain link fence is installed, that's maybe not what the committee wants. So just for the sake of clarity and openness, that's all.
Thank you, Dan. Does that both Mr. McCool's ability to put up the fence, maybe not quite in the next week, might be the next month? Does that change any of your opinion? No. Okay.
No, and I would agree that it would have to be something that you can't see through.
Okay. Anna Marie? Okay. All right. So how about I will try to make something happen. That the Property Standards Committee, having heard the appeal filed by Daniel W. McCool, being an occupant of the property described as Plan 386, Part Lot 14, 167 Roland Street, Mitchell Ward, in the municipality of West Perth, hereby approves an amendment to the order to require that a fence be erected by the end of September. A fence that is a non-see-through fence be erected by the end of September, and that significant property cleanup occur by the end of October. Okay. Would you have any other suggestions for that amendment, Daniel?
I had it opposite, so I'm just catching up to you. Sorry. But
yeah, okay. Okay. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, and then failure of improvement would then confirm the order and require the property to be brought back into conformity by the end of October.
So just to clarify.
Yep. Want me to reread that out loud again?
Sure.
Okay. Approves an amendment to the order to require that a permanent fence, non-see-through, be erected by the end of September, and that significant property cleanup occur by the end of October, and failure to comply then confirms the order and requires the property to be brought into conformity to the bylaw by the end of October. That makes sense. So if it's not significantly improved by the end of October, so fence up by the end of September, not significantly improved by the end of October, then failure confirms the order.
And then what happens? Let's say the fence is not up. Let's say things are not sold. Let's say there's no change. The order is confirmed. What happens then?
Could I lean on the clerk for the answer to that question, please?
Yes, thank you. So under the Building Code Act, following the committee's decision, there's a 14-day appeal for the appellant if they're not satisfied with the committee's judgment. So pending that 14-day period from the committee's decision would lapse, at that point then when the failure of improvement clause would take effect, we would look to bring in a company to clean the property, and the bill for that would be passed to the property owner.
So fence by the end of September, significant improvement by the end of October, and then failure of that then confirms the order. I'll take a mover and a seconder. Alvin will move it. Anna Marie will second that. All in favor? That is carried. I'll hereby notify you of our decision, Daniel, that I guess you heard the decision of the committee, and written notice will come shortly after that. Thank you. Any other business from the committee? Then I'll move to adjourn. I'll, if it's all right, I'll adjourn the meeting, and then you can ask the bylaw enforcement officer on your own time, if that's all right. Because two people to adjourn, Anna Marie and Elvin. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you.